Hello everyone, it is time for another subscriber base review. We are here with Town Hall 9s this time, so I've got a series of Town Hall 9s. These bases were all submitted on my Facebook page, and if you would like to have your base reviewed in a video, you can look for Facebook statuses from me asking for people to submit their bases. So link to that is in the description. I'll talk more about that at the end though, so stay tuned for that. Alright, so first base here is Puss. Or Puss, depending on how you want it. I think I'll go with Puss, because that's probably much better. Destroyed Town Hall 9, but obviously very light damage. He does ask, where can I put my Teslas? So I can tell pretty obviously that the Teslas are up in the top center here, near the storages. And that's not a bad spot. It helps them protect the resources at that point, as well as they're able to zap any sort of other units that come in to attack the defenses sort of around them. Let's see, overall though, you do an interesting thing. You've got your storages split up here, actually really heavily split up. At the same time though, they're relatively close together, so the mortars and, let's see, the crossbow here can protect them both. Now, where is your second crossbow? Is there a second crossbow? That's a spell factory. I don't see a second crossbow. That is definitely something I would work on getting up as soon as possible, because that will really help out your defense. Crossbow is definitely one of the most, it's probably the most important Town Hall 9 addition that you get. Other than that, is probably unit upgrades is probably the most important offensive, but crossbow for the defensive. Alright, so resources, and I mentioned that they were really well protected. So the great thing about this is you've got 2 of them down here, and 3 of them up here. First off, you only have, like, those 5 right there, 2 golds, 2 elixirs, and 1 dark elixir. These little ones out here don't count. So that's great right there. I really approve of that. The other thing I approve of, like I said, is they're close enough together that these mortars can protect them, as well as this crossbow, but they're very separated. There's several compartments in between them, so it's hard for them to get between them. One thing I would do is for sure, absolutely for sure, upgrade this single critical wall that I've got selected right here in the middle. Why is that? Well, it is the linchpin between all of these compartments. You have 2 compartments with mortars, but even more important, you have 2 compartments with all of your storages. So, for example, if goblins get into one of the storages, this wall is what they're going to be going for, and you want them to be able to have that protected. Now, another important thing is you probably want to have this wall protected by at least 1 wizard tower, and currently your other wizard towers are spread out around, so they are not protecting that single wall. They're sort of close. What I would consider doing is moving out the Teslas, which I previously mentioned are up here, moving out the Builder's Hut. I would probably put the Dark Elixir up there where that Builder's Hut is, and then I would put Wizard Tower right here where the Dark Elixir is. What that would allow it is to protect, the Wizard Tower would protect all the storage in its own compartment, and it would also protect this single critical wall. Also, it's a good idea to upgrade the wall, and I would even consider putting it up to at least 8, which would be 1 level higher than your 7s, so it'd be your first level 8 wall. It is expensive, but in that case, it's so critical that you want that one especially to be protected. It's more important than another dozen or 2 walls being upgraded to a higher level. Alright, beyond that, your general defensive levels, it could use some work. They're not great. They're not great. You've got 1 cannon up here that's level 10, but other than that, everything else is pretty low leveled. So basically, this is a low Town Hall 8, I would say, base. The one thing you do a good job of is, while your air defenses are not particularly high leveled, although I see you're working on this one, you do keep these 2 fairly well protected and fairly well centralized, which is a good plan because if they're high level, you probably don't need to protect them quite as much. But if they're lower level, protect them a bit more, make them harder to get to, keep them centralized, keep them protected. It's a good idea. The last thing I'm going to talk about is you do a good job with your walls. You've got a lot of compartments, which will be definitely really effective against the wall breakers. And the wall upgrading, I definitely approve of using your level 7 walls to protect the storages in here. So that is a good job as well. Now, one thing I would do is move in all these buildings that are around the outside so they're touching your walls. Now, why is this? It might seem sort of like, well, whatever, like putting them outside the walls like in this exact position is the largest spawn denial area possible in most cases here. They could actually, if these were a bit farther out, they'd be better, but it creates a larger spawn denial area. However, I consider it more important to slow down your enemies. For example, if archers are attacking this army camp, what if it was 1 or 2 spots closer to this cannon? then it would be the cannon would have a better shot at shooting down the archers. Same thing goes with this building right here. This cannon cannot protect this barracks from archers if they're positioned properly. So you want to move those defenses in. So not only are you pushing back enemies, like yes, that's important, but even more important is you're slowing down enemies while they're taking fire. No need to slow down enemies while they're not taking fire. That's pointless. That's just giving away free health. But slow them down while they're getting shot at. That's going to be it for this first base. Let's go on to our next Town Hall base. Thank you. Good job. Puss? 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 Yes, Puss. Alright guys, I could tell if this base, before I even loaded it up, was a high-level base, and I want to talk about something interesting here, and definitely is related to the fact that it's destroyed. Normally I skip over bases that are heavily damaged, because it's harder for you guys to look at them, but in this case I'm going to talk about them. So, what is so interesting about this base? Well, very unusual wall placement. It's got all these double walls in the center, and in this case, it's actually a bad plan. So, what happened to this base? I can read this destruction and tell very clearly that someone broke in with wall breakers. That's right, because wall breakers have a splash radius of larger than they used to, they can now attack walls that are double deep. So a wall breaker positioned right here would attack all these walls, and which is why all of them are destroyed in there, allowing people straight into the center and probably taking out all of your storages in here. Yes, indeed. So it looks like you only had mortars and storages in the center. Definitely the problem with that is that your defenses aren't as centralized. Generally, I would say you should, if you're going for trophies like you clearly are, I would spread out your storages, sort of like this one, position them around the outside more. It means it's easier to take on one or two of them, but at the same time, it means one, you'll have more centralized defenses, and two, it's harder to take out all of your storages. And also, a sort of side note of more centralized defenses means it's harder to 3-star you, overall. So certainly looks like you're going for trophies, so I would definitely consider doing that. Other than that, though, looks like you got some pretty good upgrades going. Not everything's maxed out for sure. You're look like a very high Town Hall 8 base, except for the crossbows, which I definitely approve of you getting both of these up to level 2. And if they weren't under construction, I'm sure that would help your defense tremendously. I'm not going to talk about all the other details in this base just because it's destroyed, so we don't need to sort of suffer through looking at them and trying to predict where stuff is. Last thing I'm going to say is I hope you have giant bombs in the center here near the Town Hall. That would be a good addition in case goblins do break into your storages. However, I would still recommend spreading out your storages. Yeah, last thing I'm going to say is with the double walls, I would definitely think about changing up your double walls because they just are not good against wall breakers. Wall breakers go through them as if they're literally not there. Wall breakers are just as effective against them as single walls. In fact, they're even more effective for some small details, which I'm not going to talk about here. Basically, double walls means that your defenses are farther away, so wall breakers can get up closer to them. That's all I'm going to say about it. Alright, that's going to be it for this Town Hall 9 base. Got some suggestions there, although it looks like you have a good plan that you're trying to do. I think some of those suggestions could really help you take it up to the next level, Jared. Alright, let's go on to the next base, guys. Alright, here we are with Sir Jason. Right away, this is an interesting base. What I find most interesting about this is the very large shape in the middle. It wouldn't take many walls to close this off, but he's left it open in a large sort of, I don't know, it's sort of like a three lines going out from the central clan castle here, which is interesting. Very focused on air defense. In fact, I would probably say too focused on air defense. Just having one or two of those air defenses in the middle is probably a good plan. I don't think you're going to be attacked by air often enough to justify that, and centralizing other defenses such as wizard towers or even cannons, archer towers would be a bit more effective. I wouldn't put your mortars in there. I do approve of keeping your mortars in their separate compartments right around the side. They are just as centralized, but a whole lot more protected, so I do approve of that. Let's see, where's your town hall? Okay, all the way down at the bottom. Make sure you've got clan castle, guys. Always make sure you should have this filled up, and indeed you do. Level 5 archers, mostly. Your army shows that you have some well-upgraded units, so let's check out your army composition. Alright, interesting composition. Heavy on both the archers and barbarians, obviously, but with some goblins in there to get some resources. I'd be curious how effective this is at your trophy count, because you are certainly up higher in the trophy count as well as just like our last player. Yeah, it's interesting. I'm not sure. I'd like to see how well that works. Maybe you could tell me in the comment section. Beyond that, you have some interesting things here. Wall upgrading strategy. You've got some interesting walls. I do approve of your general upgrading method, except for this wall right here. What is up with that level 8 wall? It's not doing anything. Giants can walk between those two archer towers just fine. So, yeah, I'm not sure what's up with that wall. Maybe it's a leftover from some previous, slightly different design. Teslas are pretty obviously two on the left, two on the right. One is upgrading currently right here, as you can see. That's a good idea. You've got a whole ton of pockets to distract wall breakers, so that is a good decision as well. Now, I'm going to make the same point that I did in the previous video, which was you should consider spreading out your storages a little bit more. And you actually do a really good job of it. Currently, they are spread out. They're not all centralized. So I don't mean it quite in the sense that you need to move them, but perhaps change a couple of walls around. So specifically, I'm looking at this gold storage on the left and this gold storage on the right. What you could do is you could move this wall from right here to right here, and then the same thing on the other side, this wall to right here. Together, this would make these storages not be in the same central compartment as both one another and these two at the bottom. So I think that would help out in case of goblins breaking into the center. At the same time, it basically doesn't make them much weaker, only slightly weaker to goblins coming in from the outside. Basically, you would have them join this cannon's compartment and this archer tower's compartment if that wasn't obvious. Overall, though, I like this. Like I mentioned before, I do like how all of your buildings are tight against the walls, with the exception of your town hall. Great job. Definitely keep the town hall away. I would even consider... Actually, I can't see. Let me click on the archer queen. I would probably keep the archer queen a bit farther away. So maybe swap the archer queen with a cannon. Yeah, so right there. You don't want the archer queen, her circle, to be intersecting with any units that are down here. Because, one, that will slow down people who are attacking the town hall when you do want them to take out the town hall, just for the shield. And two, they're sort of letting the archer queen go down and do that. I mean, it seems like it'd be alright. Well, the thing is, if she kills off the units that are attacking and they don't kill your town hall, then you don't get a shield, which is one problem. But then the other problem is if she dies, and they don't take out the town hall, then you will have no archer queen if someone comes and attacks 10 minutes later, because you don't have a shield still. Basically, just move it away so it's only active in actual full-out attacks. And beyond that, though, upgrade strategy. So, once again, your stuff is not crazily well upgraded. You're working your way there. Is that level 1? Yes, it's a level 1 crossbow. And level 1? Yes, indeed. I would say that just keep working on the defenses. As you probably realize, you're sort of like a mid-level Town Hall 8 in terms of the defenses. Yeah, it's a mid-level Town Hall 8. Basically, I'm pretty equal to you. Actually, I'm better. My current Town Hall 8 is better than you in terms of defensive upgrades. You obviously have more defenses because you're a Town Hall 9, but just focus on that. Alright, let's head on to the next base. Alright, here we are with Sanders base, our final Town Hall 9. So the first thing I noticed is sort of minor, but I think you're the first guy who I've seen upgrading a level 6 mortar, so good job with that. Level 6, if you guys aren't aware, Town Hall 9 unlocks level 7 for the first time, so yeah, good job upgrading that. It's definitely a nice upgrade to get. Very expensive, very slow, but ups it to its maximum level. Let's see, you do have your crossbows up already, which I would support getting before upgrading something like a mortar. Just always good to get more defenses before you upgrade current defenses. Let's see, level 4 Barbarian King. I haven't really talked about levels of heroes this time. It is currently healing, so you're probably online or recently online. You've got a pretty good layout. You've got your storages all separated into different compartments, which will keep them nice and protected. You do a good job of mixing defenses in at the same time, though. One thing I do approve of is this one air defense in here. It's the right combination between centralized and not, like, too centralized. So I talked about before how we saw sort of, like, too much centralization in the air defenses, like all three. This one over here, though, covers pretty much the rest of your base, which is a nice split to sort of cover. Then you also have this crossbow down here set to air, so between the three of those, you've got a pretty good coverage of your base. And of course, this air defense is under construction, so maybe you'll switch your crossbow to ground once it's completed, if you leave it right there or in that general area. Let's see, your outer compartments, I would feel like you might want to split them up into smaller compartments. And that would really help against wall breakers, just because they're so big right now. Maybe take these extra walls up here and split them up. Maybe put like a line of walls right here, right here. One thing I'm definitely going to recommend for sure is taking this town hall and moving it outside the walls. I haven't talked about this on any of the other ones because it wasn't really relevant. I think all of them had it either outside or very protected. But it's not a good idea to keep this sort of half protected, and this goes for everyone, not just Town Hall 9s. So either you want to protect it fully if you're going for trophies, or you want to put it way outside the walls if you're going for resources. Putting it way outside the walls lets enemies take it out for free, which is a good thing because it gives you a 12-hour shield. And oftentimes enemies will surrender right there. They'll take the cheap win with the 12-hour shield and not continue attacking, which is definitely beneficial to you and your defense, rather than waiting for someone who has a big strong army to come and try to pound on your base and get into your storages. Because then you lose more with the exact same reward, probably, a 12-hour shield. Alright, beyond that, wall upgrading strategy. I like the level 8 walls in the center. The level 7 walls seems like they're sort of hectic around, scattered. It's not that important, though, because as long as everything is level 6, which they are, that's this pink gem wall, that's good. And that means it'll take 2 wall breaker hits to get through. Even with the new wall breaker AI, it doesn't affect the amount of damage they do, just affects their area of splash and how they move. Let's check your clan castle, make sure you've got that topped up. Oh, you do not. Definitely request that as soon as possible. Perhaps you just used it in a battle, but yes, keep that topped up. Beyond that, last thing I'm going to say is the same thing as before. Just keep your buildings that are outside the walls as close to the walls as possible. So, Spell Factory and Lab over here on the right, Builder's Hut's down here, Collector, Barracks, Builder's Hut, Collector. You get the idea. Just move them a bit closer to the walls. Last thing I'm going to say is you want to be careful about how you upgrade. So right now you've got 4 upgrades going at once. You've got 1 mortar, 1 air defense, 1 wizard tower, and 1 cannon. And this isn't a terrible thing, but 4 is sort of getting pretty high for the number that's currently inactive on your base. And probably more significant is all these defenses are on the bottom side of your base down here. So that definitely weakens your base, and I would generally recommend scattering which ones you're upgrading around, even if it's just a temporary move. So say, swap this wizard tower with this archer tower on the other side, just while it's upgrading, just so you have more defense in the bottom right, that sort of thing. Just something to keep a thought out for. Not critical, but I think it's a good idea. Alright, I think that's going to wrap it up for this base, and that means wrapping it up for Town Hall 9s. So, once again, in detail, if you would like to have your base reviewed in a future video, this is what you should do. So I have a Facebook page, it is linked in the description down below. I will be posting on my Facebook page, and I do post on my Facebook page at least once a week, and I ask people to submit their bases on there. Beyond that, I do stuff like this week I asked what Town Hall would you guys like me to review, and the most voted on choice was Town Hall 9, so here we are with Town Hall 9s. And then I'll put up a post and you guys can submit your bases for that. Beyond that, you can also follow me on Twitter, and of course, if you're not already, you should probably subscribe to my YouTube channel. This is a subscriber-based review video after all, where I review subscribers' bases. So if you want to be reviewed, definitely being a subscriber is a good first step. Alright guys, thank you very much for watching. I hope you guys learned something new. I think some of the tips in here were relevant to not only Town Hall 9s, but other Town Hall levels as well. Maybe gave you some good base design ideas, and those of you who were reviewed, I think you can incorporate some of these changes to improve your defenses. Thank you guys very much for watching. If you have not, go ahead and subscribe. Beyond that, thank you very much, and have a great day.